Where we left off last was the life of Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. And this is important from the standpoint of you need to know who is the author of a particular book, and you need to know something about him, and you should need to be able to recall something regarding him. You read a book by Ibn Taymiyyah, well, who is this Ibn Taymiyyah? What do you know about his life? What do you know about the man? So it's important that some knowledge be gathered regarding him, some information be retrieved and recorded regarding him, and also the explainer of the book, which for us in this case is Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymin rahimahullah. What do you know about him? What do you know about him? So we'll take briefly the last of the life of Ibn Taymiyyah, because we took it before. We took the people having derision towards him and mistreating him. We took the fact that he became an enemy of every mubtadi', every innovator he became an enemy of. We took the fact that he gave da'wah night and day, that he suffered. We took the fact that the Tatar were there, and the Tatar, the Mongols, were killing Muslims left and right, and Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah stood up to them, ordered them what was correct, not fearing the blame of the blamers and not fearing anything. We took that he would order what is good and forbid what is bad, that he responded to every group in accordance with what they were needed to be responded to. He responded to the Christians with his monumental book, al-Jawab al-Sahih liman badal ad-Dīn al-Masih, the correct response to those who corrupted the deen of the Messiah. He responded to the Jews. He responded to the Sufis. He responded to Ash'a'ira. He responded to the Jahmiyyah, alayhi salam. He responded to the Maturidiyya. He responded to the Batiniyya. He responded to the Qadariyya. He responded to the Jahmiyyah. He responded to the Mu'tazila. He responded to the Karamiyya. He responded to the Karamita. He responded to everybody who was in fact up on some type of innovation. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah dealt with them, subdued them, and conquered them. And so it's important to understand this, why he's Sheikh al-Islam, why he is in fact Sheikh al-Islam. We talked about him even getting thrown in jail for his viewpoint regarding the 3 talaqs, because everybody was on the opinion that if you pronounced the 3 talaqs, then that was it. And of course Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said it didn't matter how many times you pronounced it, in a general sense this was his fatwa, but that it was counted in one jalsa, one sitting, as 1 talaq. It was counted as 1 talaq. So he was thrown in prison for this, brothers. He was thrown in prison for this fatwa because it went against the general flow. It went against the general society. It went against what the people were generally up on. And so therefore he was thrown in prison. He was thrown in prison because of that. The question of the 3 talaqs. The issue was whether a divorce pronounced 3 times at the same time took legal effect or not. This issue raised the following considerations. And he goes on to the reasons behind it and the considerations in that. But Ibn Taymiyyah, and he was thrown in prison because of this. And a royal edict was issued in Cairo, 718 Hijri, 1381 Christian era, forbidding him from giving any more fatwa. Can you imagine that a qarar comes down and he's told that he can't give any more fatwa because of this? Initially Ibn Taymiyyah abided by the edict, but later on he began giving fatwas anyway. And then it was told that he should desist or fear the government. Then he was detained in the citadel. The citadel was a prison, qal'a. It's a prison, a well-known prison. Even to this day you can see this prison in Syria for his fatwa and his legal verdicts. He was placed in there for 5 months until he was released later from being ordered from Cairo to be released. 5 months in a prison cell. And the prison cells then were not like they are now. Just like everything today is not like it was then. And it was a hermit's hole or less than that. It was in fact a prison. It's in fact a prison. And he dealt with that for this particular fatwa he gave regarding what? Whether or not divorce pronounced 3 times in one sitting took place or not. This shows the jealousy that was present. It shows the evil ulama, the evil so-called ulama who are around him, who wanted his harm, who wanted that he be destroyed, who wanted that he be removed, who wanted that he be humiliated. Bismillah. the final years. Between 721 after Hijrah and 726 after Hijrah, Ibn Taymiyyah devoted himself to teaching in Madrasa Hanbaliyah and his own Madrasa, Qassasin, and revising some of his earlier works. His adversaries again conspired to have him imprisoned. Here he continued writing tafsir of the Qur'an, as well as other works. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah died in jail in Damascus on the Sunday or Monday of the 20th of Dhul Qa'dah in the year 728 Hijri, 26 to 27 September 1328, at the age of 67. He's buried in the cemetery of the Sufiya in Damascus. Even though Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah called against shirk and ordered with Taqi, the Sufis have a tendency still to visit his grave. Can you imagine that? Someone who has an abhorrent, appalling position regarding that whole thing, they had audacity to do that. He died in prison, brothers. This was his juhud, his striving, his amount of sincerity to Allah Ta'ala, that all of his life was spent in the worship of Allah Ta'ala, or acquiring knowledge regarding Allah Ta'ala, or defending the Sunnah, and exposing and deflecting the bid'ah, calling to Tawheed, and warning against shirk. All his life been spent like this, acquisition of knowledge, and then acting on the knowledge, and calling people to that knowledge, and spreading that knowledge, until such time he sacrificed to such a degree where he died in prison. He died in the sijn. When they placed him in the sijn, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah recited an ayah which states that behind it is punishment and inside of it is mercy. Behind it and outside of the wall is punishment and inside of it is mercy. He recited this. And Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah used to say, Ma yasna adui bi, or whatever my enemy does with me, ana mustami fi sadri, my garden is in my chest. My garden is in my chest. Whichever way I go is with me. If they kick me out within the land, then this is like what going on a journey to tourism, to view things and to see things that are unique. That's how he's seen it. Kicking him out, meaning that you was giving him time to observe the creation of Allah Ta'ala and see the beauty and the richness of the creation of Allah Ta'ala. You're sending me on a tour. And imprisoning me is khalwa. Imprisoning me is khalwa. The time that I have to be alone with my Lord and remember my Lord and submit to my Lord and pray to my Lord. That's how he viewed it. They would get letters from Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, his brothers and his students. And these letters, when he would say, they say, how you doing? He said, Ana fi ni'matin azima. I'm in a great blessing that I'm not able to calculate, nor am I able to articulate the full input of it to you. For this is one of the greatest blessings that Allah Ta'ala has placed upon me, that he has placed me in this matter. That he has placed me in this circumstance. And each letter, if you read in as much more fatawa, each letter was like that. I'm in a ni'mah, man. I'm in ni'mah. I'm in good situation, good condition. What Allah Ta'ala has given me here, is beyond belief. What I have learned, what I have experienced, what I have obtained of comfort and of serenity and of peace and of the sweetness of Iman and of reflection on Ar-Rahman and all of these matters, it could not be compared to anything. And this is how his letters were constantly, from a prison, from a hole hidden inside of a hole in darkness. But this is how he was. Sheikh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. No doubt his character and his achievements are great. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah says that the difference between us and them, us being Ahl al-Sunnah and them being Ahl al-Bid'ah, is Yawm al-Janaiz, the day of the funerals. We'll see you the day of the funerals. This will be the difference. Because the funerals of Ahl al-Sunnah, those of Ahl al-Hadith, those who Allah Ta'ala has written for them qubul or acceptance throughout the earth, everybody comes. Some riding animals, some walking on their feet, all miles around, they come for this purpose. And so this is why he said the day of Janaiz. The day of Janaiz. Because Ahl al-Bid'ah are usually isolated by themselves, alone. Alayka as-Salām. No one's concerned about them. They live despicable and they die despicable. They lived away from the Sharia and they die away from the Sharia. So Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah has said that the people of Damascus who held him in great honor gave him a splendid funeral, and an estimated 200,000 men. 200,000 men and 15,000 women attended his funeral. He was buried, like we said, at that particular cemetery in Damascus where his mother was buried. His name is Sufiya. 200,000 men. And this is why Imam Ahmad said, between us and you is janazah. They won't know who's up on the haqq and who's up on the batil. They won't know who's correct and who's not. Yawm al-Janaiz. And this Imam Ahmad's funeral was bigger than that, millions. And hundreds of thousands became Muslims, converted to Islam on that day. Why? It was a glorious day. People came into Islam. People left bid'ah and came into Sunnah on the day of Imam Ahmad's funeral. Character of Ibn Taymiyyah occupied a highly honorable place among his contemporary religious scholars due to his prodigious memory. He had a great memory, brilliant intelligence, encyclopedic knowledge. We took that. Dauntless courage. He's described as a great orator, brave and fearless, resolute and disciplined, very pious, resigned and contented. I think he means contented. Noble and forgiving, just and ever determined. Just and ever determined. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah reformed. He had reformative endeavors and literary pursuits that covered a vast field, which can be summarized as follows. 1, revival of the faith. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to revive Islam. He wanted to revive Iman. He wanted to revive the Deen. An adherence, a strict adherence to Tawheed. A strict and clear cut, no compromising, no gray area, black and white, adherence to Tawheed. Eradication of all false beliefs and customs. Criticism of the philosophers and all of those who were trying to say something was superior to the Qur'an and the Sunnah. Removing the un-Islamic beliefs by going against the Christians and going against the Jews in his books and his works and verbally, and going against the Shia and going against the Batiniyah and going against all aspects of Ahl al-Bid'ah. Rejuvenation of Islamic thought and related sciences, giving rebirth to tafsir, rebirth to usul al-tafsir, rebirth to usul al-fiqh, rebirth to fiqh, rebirth to usul al-hadith, rebirth to hadith, rebirth to the ilm al-nasir wal-mansukh, rebirth to all of those issues. Rejuvenation of Islamic sciences so they became alive again after the once being considered something that was dead or rusted over or no one gave concern to. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah brought back to life. Brought back to life. Total workings of Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah that are known, because there's many that aren't, is 621. Many of them been lost. Al-Jawab as-Sahih liman badala din al-Masih. An answer to the criticism against the Christians. It's actually al-Jawab as-Sahih, the correct response, liman badala din al-Masih, for the one who corrupted the deen of the Messiah. They corrupted the deen of Isa alayhi salam. They're not on the deen of Isa alayhi salam. They don't know the deen of Isa alayhi salam. They can't find the deen of Isa alayhi salam except in Islam. He wrote against them. Rad ala mantaqiyin, those who are upon mantaq and logic. We have many of those today. And like this. This is basically Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, and we have not given him his just due in this matter, but this dars is Aqidah Wasatiyah, not the life of Ibn Taymiyyah, not a series of that. But just enough to know about him so that you have the respect that you are to have regarding such a man, such a unique, righteous, strong, courageous individual. We need the likes of him in our time. We need the likes of Ibn Taymiyyah in our time.